Welcome to my thoughts on The Flash, Season 1, Episode 16, Rogue Time. The episode is rated TV-14, so this video there will be spoilers for the Arrowverse leading up to and including this episode, and another episode that I absolutely love, starting with the title. Love the double meaning of, it's time for the Rogues, but it's also, he's in this other time line, He creates a new timeline, I suppose. He changes time with his actions. And, I think we're going to try to keep it chronological. So, I appreciate that they get out of the way basically immediately, him, Barry realizing, really it is, he is back to yesterday, because Cisco is like, hurry up, you gotta get to the morgue, and Barry's like, I was just at the morgue yesterday, and Cisco has to remind him, yes, and because you didn't bring a shopping list, you have to go again today. And thought it'd be good to start the video off with a really morbid joke. Anyway, I think that is so we can very quickly get to Barry, using the fact that he remembers the day so well, and good with I like the Wells. Like, I think it's as soon as Barry has repeated and I'm not gonna pretend like I can, but the scientific term for brain freeze, that as soon as Barry says that, exactly when Caitlin does, it's, Wells is like, okay, this is time manipulation. There's no way. I appreciate that technically wasn't the very first thing that he said, but and right, and before that we also have Joe noticing Barry being weird at the crime scene. And it was very interesting, this thing of, because like we the audience, to us it means something else when Wells is talking about you could really mess things up if you go back in time. You could go back decades and mess a lot up. And I mean, he said, 15 years to Cisco. And there's also the thing about, biggest story of the century. Well, this century. So when he says centuries, that is also, I think that might just about, and once again, someone who knows better tells Barry, you should do this. Barry does something else, and by the end of the episode, he's like, you're right. Which, fair enough, he's young. We make mistakes when we're young. And, the important thing is what you do to make up for it. And trying to learn from it. Anyway, and he talks to, I would say Gideon is the name of the computer, and, just let me know if the future changes. Because, of course, he's very worried that this is going to screw things up for him. And at the same time, excited, because, like, this is kind of, he was, the thing about time travel. Basically, I guess he just needs Barry to master it, and then for him to take advantage of it, so that I think that pretty much, so the next thing is indeed him, grabbing Weather Wizard, and that was also pretty funny, because it's like, I mean, who wouldn't under those circumstances? And I really appreciate it, because we did get some really great stuff with Weather Wizard, and this does also mean that he is still alive. He's just trapped so he could be freed. And I think that does... Yeah, I thought they did a really solid job here creating new circumstance for things to go bad in similar ways. We still end the episode with Wells and Cisco talking in the same room. It's just now, instead of killing him, he's telling him, to, he should stay. And, now the relationship, Barry is not going to be with Iris, at least not immediately, because she, and it's, this thing of like the subconscious mind, it took the disaster to have her realize that. And I think the next thing is the, let's see. Yeah, and ultimately this time it's not the it's not Captain Singh, but Cisco and Dante, I think was his brother's name, that are... Yeah. Right. I did also want to briefly talk about, so there's, I would say, 2 deleted scenes. Basically, it's, one of them, it's almost too bad. I mean, I figured it was cut for time, because there was one where we actually see Cisco return Dante to their parents, and Dante finally stands up to his parents for Cisco, and there's this thing about he plays the guitar, and then he does the line about, "I'm a little rusty," and does a fantastic job playing. We also very, very briefly see Kate talking to Iris and Eddie. Wait, what was the other one? There was definitely at least one other thing in the deleted scenes, but right now I can't quite place it. I don't know, maybe it'll come to me over the course of the video. Anyway, I think that is when we see the so Snart, going up to the mob boss, and even without the weapon, he's still that dangerous. He and because it's, they do that classic villain thing of like, I was getting caught part of your master plan, and I think that does pretty well cover. Yeah, and he lets the he makes sure there's one witness, so that and I think that's when we see that Barry cannot recreate it. There were too many specific factors. He cannot currently at will travel in time, which I do also appreciate. I think it is too early for him to just be able to access that at will. And, this gives us something to look forward to. And I guess that does... There's at least one more thing that I wanted to make sure to say. Yeah, I think that's, so Barry, breaks up with, there's a breakup between him and Linda. And it is that thing of like, I mean, they get along, but that's all, and that's maybe not quite enough. And, he thinks at this point in the episode that things are gonna work out with Iris. And then he goes, right, I don't have an awful lot to say about the birthday. I did think they, it's great to see Cisco with family, and it's a classic setup for this kind of thing. The first episode in the duology will set up certain things, and then the second episode will show things that were only mentioned, subvert expectations in one way or another. And it is very nice of Kate to go with. And at first she's there's the thing about she does kind of praise Dante's piano playing, but she does also stand up for Cisco, and things do get tense between the brothers. I thought they did a fantastic job in this episode with the dynamic between them, the jealousy, and I think that pretty much covers that scene. So yeah, Cisco at the bar, and Lisa comes up. Very nicely done. I don't know. I feel like I probably should have realized before the reveal, but I didn't. Yeah, the thing about Barry being like, "That's very nice," but and she's like, "I was actually talking to him," which I do think they did a good job. Like I was watching the scene. I wasn't entirely sure which of them she was talking to, but yeah, and you have the yeah, she says she was dared to go talk to him, which I mean, it's not the least true thing. It was perhaps less of a dare, more of like, I mean, it's a way for them to proceed on mission. But yeah, she didn't just randomly start talking to him. That part is true. And the thing about, oh, we're actually just squatting here. Uh-oh. And this thing of like, Snart comes up, and then Cisco's like, please don't kill me for kissing your sister. You kissed him? Nice going, Cisco. Snart didn't even know that. And then the thing about like, you're not our father. No, our father's still in prison. Is there any member of this family that isn't or hasn't been in prison recently? I'm starting to wonder. And let's see. Yeah, that was also such a great line. What are your intentions towards my sister? And yeah, I'm running out of ways to say I absolutely love Wentworth Miller's performance, and Dominic Purcell's as well. And yeah, she makes a fantastic addition. I've been really looking forward to seeing her since since learning she existed in the very, very end of the other and also appreciate this thing of like, they did lose their special guns last time, but of course Cisco can make more, and now they're out there. So like, yeah, in a way maybe he did kind of make things worse, although it's one of those things. It would have been very difficult to is he just supposed to let Captain sing? Yeah, it's a very, very difficult one to it's understandable that he couldn't. Yeah. Let's see. We have and so they the conversation, also, yeah, the thing about, are you gonna admire those or are you gonna drink them? First one, then the other. And the the conversation in Spanish, and he says, she actually had a crush on you, and I told her you were going to be a priest because I was jealous of you. I never fought for anything in my life until now. And yeah, like, we, the audience, know this is not going to work. Like, there's no way that they take Dominic Purcell, let alone, it's completely, I think that does bring, and one of the reasons the episode has a TV-14, the torture. Because, like, of course, Snart knows about the pianist thing, even though that is not his job. Actually, now that I think about it, I forget if they actually say that in the episode, but in the deleted scene, he tells his mom, listen, I work in a sporting goods store, it doesn't matter if I can play piano anymore. Even if I could before. Legitimate theater. And the thing about that's first degree frostbite. With treatment, he can keep them, but if we don't let you go soon enough, they will have to be amputated, which, that's the thing about, Snart is so cold and calculating. That's, goes right for the jugular. And, the thing about, Snart sees through the, what is it, the firing pin being, and the thing about, make something for Lisa as well. And I know this is a little awkward, but we haven't really discussed payment yet, and I feel like if you're making 3 different things for us, the third one should be a little bit of a lower price. I don't know. And let's see. I think cool idea that it's gold. She likes gold. And it's really, really cool, the bit with the casino, which turns out to not even have been the target. And the turning that one guy solid gold, and all that glitters. And I guess she's got the Midas touch now. And let's see, the bit with shooting a chandelier, I guess, something along those lines, so that it freezes and falls on that one. And Flash, threatening, and start pointing out, you have nothing to threaten me with. I'm sorry, it's a fun voice to do. I think I do that voice way too much. Anyway, and there's also just so many lines that he says that are easy to reference and stuff. Anyway, I guess that does bring us nicely to so he talks to Barry, talks to Iris, and because he's so excited about this new step, he just says, I know you've been thinking about me too. And understandably, she leaves and points out, you have to stop making me the bad guy who always has to say no to you on this, And right, so even though, find out Lisa was manipulating Cisco, I still appreciate they, once again, nonverbal consent, which is still consent. She leans in, he closes the distance. And I think there might be another. I think that's when they, right, so at the crime scene, Eddie slugs Barry and points out, I thought we were friends. Because, understandable that Iris told, it was clearly upsetting for her, and she had no idea he was going to hit Barry. And the part where Joe, once again, great father, he doesn't say who she should be with. He asks, which one do you love? And I also appreciate, we are seeing a little bit, she doesn't say, well, Eddie, obviously, what are you even talking about? She's like, Eddie, I guess, that's, she feels like that's enough right now, but it is one of those things, because look at what Linda said earlier. should be more than get along. You should drive each other, wild. And yeah, and then we have the thing about, do I ever tell you you're such a wise father? Not enough. That's such a dad thing such a dad way to respond to that. And then the the ultimatum, or ultimatatum, which is of course what that is short for. And yeah, of course, Cisco, what else is he gonna do? He does reveal, and he's ready to take the consequence. He's like, I shouldn't be working here anymore. And the right, I also appreciated when Barry talks to Mason, who I guess is never gonna find out now what the deal was with that. Do we know each other? No, we don't, because we met tomorrow. I mean, today, back when today was yesterday's tomorrow. Sorry about that. And the, let's see, that's when we have the, yeah, so they hear that, they realize about, oh, they were going after the money truck. Not to be confused with the money train or money plane. All viable ways to transport large sums of money. From what I understand, Money Plane, significantly worse movie than Money Train. From what I remember, Money Train was perfectly watchable. Anyway, the yeah, really, really cool. The shooting at the back of the car, and I genuinely am not entirely sure how they safely did the bit, because that looked like they actually set a tire on fire. Yeah, very rhyming and well, not cool, but the let's see, yeah, and Flash grabs Snart. By the way, it kind of amused me when so in the casino, Barry says, "Release Cisco, Snart." See, in Danish, the exact way that they spell Snart is how we spell our word for soon. So it almost sounded like he said, "Release Cisco soon." When you get around to it, like, it doesn't have to be immediately. I really badly want there to be an outtake where, so Snart is like, "I would do anything for my brother." I assume you feel the same way, for just Cisco to be like, "Just do what you gotta do, I guess." You didn't see how he treated me at his own birthday party. But yeah, Snart points it out, even calls him Barry, and Barry lowers the mask, because at this point, there is no point. And yeah, I appreciate them kind of coming to an understanding. And the thing about, like, oh, he's got a what was his satellite uplink? I really badly want to make a pop culture reference, but it's kind of a spoiler for that piece of media. But yeah, that is yeah, very cool. And the thing about, I like that Snart thinks that the reason Barry does what he does is for the thrill. He genuinely is so removed from empathy that he can't even imagine there being any. He doesn't even say that's part of it. He says that's why you do what you do. And yeah, Barry points out, you don't have to kill people. And Snart is like, I guess I didn't even think of that. Oh, this is a little embarrassing. And let's see, I think that does bring us to the while I try to think of it, I will just say I'm looking forward to more of the trio. Will say I was expecting it to be another of the four original elements, So I guess earth or wind. Although, yeah, we've just had wind, so, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, gold, from what I recall, it's on the periodic table. It's been a while since I looked at that thing. Anyway, if they have a very large extended family, I guess they could have someone representing every element on the periodic table. And, yeah, periodically they could add someone else. I'll table it for now. And then the thing about, Barry lays out the terms and Snart agrees. And the thing about, you're not going to give me a lift home, are you? I'm not going to give you a lift home, am I? And I like that it at first looked like that Eddie was going to hit Barry again, and then he hugs him instead. And Kate has claimed, that there's a form of psychosis at work here, which, I mean, it's not wrong in every sense of the word. He's saying things that nobody else understands. And, it is nice to see them back on better terms. Yeah, and Mason, unfortunately appears to tell Wells the truth, that the only place that anything he knows about Wells is on the flash drive, the reverse flash drive, as it were. And let's see. Yeah, then, Reverse Flash tries to just to like get the point across, tries to poke Mason in the chest. Goes a little bit too far with it. And yeah, Barry tells Joe that he thinks there is something else with Wells. And yeah, this thing of, he was about to bring up Simon Stagg, and then, he gets the news about Mason, and yeah, it is like, I mean, that's, what else could it be? And I think that might just about cover. I feel like there's at least one more thing I really wanted to make sure to say about this episode. So I'm just going to real quick mentally fast forward through the entire thing. I liked when Barry and Cold go over all the possible, okay, at least leave Central City. You should be somebody else's problem. I have enough on my plate. And he's like, nope, I love this place. Fantastic. Never been so happy to meet someone else who loves my city.